All right. Good afternoon, everyone. We're here for the Tuesday, February 9th, 2021 edition of the Bicycle Petition Advisory Committee. This is one of our virtual workshops. Time right now is 5:35 p.m. My name is Kevin Walford, and I'm the BPAC coordinator for the TPO. Next slide, please. Before we get started, I want to welcome a new BPAC member, Weber Charles. He is not listed right now as one of the attendees. So if he comes in later, I'll bring this slide back up. But we've had our first new BPAC member in a while, so now the member roster has now gone up from 6 to 7. Because as you know, we lost, 3 individuals after November with the county elections and so forth. Next slide. All right, these are the guidelines that are going to be followed during this workshop. You can see them on the screen, but I'll read them anyway. This workshop is being held virtually and is being recorded. If you experience any technical difficulties, please contact Lisa Wan at the phone number and the email address you see on the screen. All attendees will remain muted through the duration of the workshop. If you wish to provide a comment, please use the raise hand button. I will first acknowledge you, and when your microphone will be unmuted. And please proceed by first providing your full name, agency represented, and then your comment. In compliance with all applicable rules and regulations, no actions or motions shall be permitted at this workshop. Discussion shall be limited to matters listed in the published workshop agenda. Permissible discussions include presentations, questions and answers, comments related to the presentation. Any committee member deviating from these guidelines will be reminded as to limitations of any such discussion. Please hold comments until presentations are concluded. And just for the record, as we're starting, I'll mention that the three BPAC members we have here right now are Brett Beveau, Sabelis Rosada Mota, and where did the other name go? Oh, Eric Tallberg. All right, next slide. All right, today we're going to have 2 informational items. First one's going to be the Grove Connect Mobility Action Plan for Coconut Grove, and then the second item will be FDOT District 6's project update report for the month of February. Next slide, please. All right, so we're going to do the Grove Connect Mobility Action Plan. This one is a PDF report and not a PowerPoint slide. So I don't know, Hank, if you're going to go first or Liza's going to go first, but either one of you, whenever you need this to go to a particular page or something, please let us know it so we can jump ahead to that. All right, and go ahead, Eric. Go ahead, Hank.
I'm not muted. Okay. Hi, everybody. Great to be back on the BPAC. I miss you guys. I am trying to unload some of my burden that I have overburdened myself with. And so it was a very difficult position, but I decided not to try to be reinstated to the BPAC. And there are other things I'm going to have to stop doing as well in order to get a few things done effectively. And this is one of them. Grove Connect. I've been quite involved in this, and I think I'd like my colleague Lottie Purkis, who is with us, to give us some background on Grove Connect, and then I will jump back in and tell you what I hope we might be getting from you all during this meeting. We really welcome the opportunity to present Grove Connect to you. We're very excited about it. We think it has a lot of potential. So Lottie, I think you may need to unmute yourself.
I believe I'm unmuted now.
Hi.
So hi, I'm Lottie Purkis, and I'm very honoured to be at this meeting. I haven't come to a BPAC meeting before, but I'm very happy to be part of it now. So I'm a volunteer for the Grove Connect, and I've been working with Hank on this for about 18 months now. The whole report's come out of a stakeholder workshop that took place back November 2nd, 2019. And this was named Shared Pathways, Reimagining Mobility in Coconut Grove. And it took place at the Ransom Everglades High School. And it was co-sponsored by Grove 2030 and the Village Council and by Coconut Grove. And the idea of the workshop was to pull in as many stakeholder participants as we could get throughout all the constituents of the Grove area. So we had business owners, school principals, residents, of course, enthusiastic bikers and walkers. And we, of course, had some developers too who came along. And it was about 70 of us all together, but there was certainly the report now has been spread to many others, and we've had input from many more people as well. So during the workshop, we used that's exactly the right picture we should have up there. We used a design thinking strategy, which was brought in from an expert at the University of Miami, to develop a framework for improving connectivity in Coconut Grove. So we all got together and we brainstormed and we talked about the current situation, things that we wanted to improve and how we would plan to improve it and who would be needed in order to do it. And we had big sheets of paper and lots of sticky notes and some very tactile things, and we came out with a lot of data at the end of the workshop. And then there was an invitation that followed that workshop for people to join a working group, and we were then going to dig deep into that data. And this is where the Grove Connect Mobility Action Plan has come from.
Lottie?
Yes.
Lottie? This is Kevin.
Yes.
Just, because we didn't have a slideshow, you can just let us know what page you want us to be on, so it's relating to what you're talking about.
Sure, that's great. You can see the pictures of everybody at the workshop gathered around the tables, doing their sticking and gluing and tactile stuff and working together. So that's the right page to be on at the moment. But yes, then we moved into the mobility action plan. So if you now scroll to page 9, I think that's actually, you know what, we can go back a couple of pages. Okay, so exactly. So the idea of the mobility action plan as it stands now is that we created several action steps that fall under strategies. And the report goes into much detail about that. But the idea is that we have 3 main strategies, which is to improve pedestrian safety, to promote and invest in infrastructure to support the bicyclist safety and alternative transportation options, and then to streamline the procedures for the planning, policy making, and project implementation. So, each of these pages through the PDF fall under the strategies, and you can see, for example, strategy 1 and strategy 2, you can see these action steps listed underneath them. And all of this information really comes from the people, and I want to stress that point. Okay, so then the report was finished, and if you want to scroll down to the maps and diagrams, which is page 19, we can go to the connectivity diagram. Actually, go back a couple of pages. The connectivity is around, maybe, let me have a look.
It's 2 pages back, I think.
Is it?
Is Kevin controlling this?
He is controlling it.
No, I'm not controlling it. Lisa is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but she and I are working together. So wherever you say for us to go, we'll go back. But so we're listening to you closely.
Okay, so it's on page 13 and 14. We have a connectivity diagram. Yes, there you go, 13. So this shows the main thoroughfares from the metro stations down to connecting with the Commodore Trail. And these were what the participants felt were very important, that we get these thoroughfares with good connectivity. And then if you scroll down, we have 3 main maps for you to see. We have the missing sidewalk map, which is on page 15. Okay, So we've had 15 and page 16, so that spreads across. When you're looking at the PDF at home on your own screen, you'll be able to, it spreads out and it's a little bit more easy to visualize the two parts of the grove. But you can see that there was an extensive study to identify through these main thoroughfares where the missing sidewalks were. And then of course we have a similar one identifying the main thoroughfares for cycling, which is also on page 17 and 18. And this highlights the where the current bike lanes are on these main thoroughfares, the Commodore Trail, and of course the underline. So I'm going to just, you can leave it on that page actually. But the idea, having published this report now, is that we have prioritized 5 main action steps that have come out of the report. And we'd like to put together some teams together to head up and really put some momentum behind these action steps. And I'm just going to list them, but the Commodore Trail, of course, for which there's already a lot of momentum, and Hank works very hard on that. And I believe there's funding in place. We have safe routes to school, so multimodal forms of transport, getting kids, especially along the main highway where there's lots of schools, both public and private schools. And already in place, we have incentive programs and schemes such as the Biking to School Day. We have the University of Miami coming in with the safety, getting the kids out there. We have the involvement of, well, we have involvement of all the schools actually to commit to those Bike to School days. So we're working with the principals improving that. So there's momentum on that. Then bike lanes and crosswalk safety. And we'd like to have your input specifically on the new bike master plan. Then the 4th item, which was of particular importance to the participants, was the McFarlane Main Grand intersection, where people want this to be looked at from a pedestrian and cyclist perspective. And then finally, the sidewalks, to fill in the gaps of the sidewalks. So those are our 5 areas. Maybe Hank would like to take it away from here. We want your input so that we can get connected to the right people and get some momentum behind these action items and make some progress.
Thank you so much for that excellent summary of the whole thing. I don't have a great deal to add. That was just great, Lottie. I would, in case it isn't obvious, and to me it feels painfully obvious, I'm just a walking conflict of interests. I founded Bike Coconut Grove, and I'm the president of that nonprofit. I co-founded Friends of the Commodore Trail, which is now a separate independent nonprofit. I've been very involved working with Lottie in the Safe Routes to School initiative. I am a member of the Village Council, which is another sponsor of this initiative. And basically what it boils down to is that, yes, Eric, I got your email. Thank you. Eric wrote some very thoughtful comments, and that was really helpful. And he emailed those, I guess, to everybody. I didn't look to see who else got it. Eric always does his homework. Wow, I'm so impressed, Eric. At any rate, it goes, for me, it goes back to 2013, even way before that, 2005, when I came to Miami, and I thought I was just coming for the season. And I went to David Henderson and I said, I want to help make this place more bicycle friendly, because that was really my priority. And he said, well, why don't you work on the Commodore Trail? We just had a study done of the Commodore Trail. And that was the 2003 Kimley Horn study. And over the years, I spent a lot of time trying to advance advocacy for the Commodore Trail. And I did a lot of other things, and I got involved in the BPAC. I didn't stay for just a season, in case you didn't notice that. We ended up moving, my wife and I moved from Berkeley, California to first to Key Biscayne and then finally to Coconut Grove. And I got very involved in bike advocacy with several different organizations. But when we got to Coconut Grove, my thinking was, okay, this place has the potential because of a lot of different factors, mainly the history, but also the kind of community it is with the tree cover, that it's very different from a lot of other Miami neighborhoods, that people come to Coconut Grove to live here because they want to bike and walk. They want a bikeable, walkable place. And without doing anything, it already was moving in that direction. I thought, I want to move it more in that direction. So I got involved in everything I could get involved in. And that included, I guess it was 2014, Grove 2030. So I've been, as I said, I'm a walking conflict of interest. I'm involved in all these groups. And now Lottie and I are trying to put together, as Lottie said, teams to implement this action plan. And my hope and my dream is that Coconut Grove will someday be a model community for all of Miami-Dade County for walking and biking and non-motorized transportation. So we are far from that, but we're a lot closer than a lot of other communities are. And what I'd like to just zero on for now for a few minutes is the 5 initiatives that Lottie described. What we're doing is we're trying to take advantage of the low-hanging fruit. There is no new initiative that we're looking at that is totally new, except maybe the sidewalks. There are so many sidewalk gaps here in Coconut Grove, partly because it's so old that so many of the residences were built at a time when sidewalks were not required. So you can go along any of the streets in Coconut Grove and find no sidewalks at all. That's true of a lot of the North Grove and the South Grove. But even in the Center Grove, which ought to be very walkable, you can find places where there's a strip of sidewalk for maybe a couple of 100 feet and then no sidewalk for the rest of the block, because the older houses were not required to build sidewalks and all new construction is required. So that really is highly, highly problematic. It can be, even though people walk all over in Coconut Grove, having good sidewalks is something that we really want to work toward. So we're looking at the low hanging fruit. We're looking at people who are already doing things so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to start whole new things from scratch. Lottie and I have worked for several years on the Safe Routes to School program. We've had a lot of success with that. The last time we did it before COVID, which was I think the fall of 2019, might have been the spring. We did it twice. We did it in the fall and the spring. We did counts of motor vehicles at Coconut Grove Elementary. And on the bike walk to school day, we saw I think it was like a 25% drop. We did numerical counts of the vehicles and we saw this huge drop on the bike and walk to school day. So people would say things to me like, oh, people will never bike and walk to school. They'll never do that. But we saw it happen and we saw very concrete results. So we need to see more of that. We need to work with other groups that are already have things going on. The Commodore Trail, which you might have noticed in the maps, and you have the PDF, I think, in your the file that Kevin sent you. The Commodore Trail is like the spine of the whole system. You could say the underline is the other spine or another spine on the other side of US 1. But the Commodore Trail for Coconut Grove is really linking everything, and it's in terrible shape. And Eric pointed out some of that in his notes. It really needs a great deal of help, and it is getting help. The city of Miami now has just a little under $2 million to improve the Commodore Trail to come up with a master plan. I'm sure the master plan is going to be coming before you. I hope within the next year. That may be overly ambitious. So the sidewalks, we already have a neighborhood group that is pushing for a specific sidewalk, and I think that's going to be a good way to start. We already have many, many people really enthusiastic about safe routes to school. The school traffic is a huge problem in Coconut Grove, and there have to be ways to get kids to school without creating horrendous traffic jams in the morning and afternoon, and we're working on that. The intersection of Grand Main and McFarland, fortunately, we have one of the development team that built Coco Walk in our group, and he is really pushing for that. That will not be easy because, and here we get into the city-county thing, that that's all county road. So the county will have to approve what we do. Maybe TPO will, I don't know, but certainly DTPW will. So that's not going to be easy. But we have a lot of great ideas. So what we want from you, if you're so inclined, is some feedback on what we might think about that maybe we haven't thought about, although we've been thinking about it a great deal. And also, I'm sorry about the format of that. This is a workshop and not a meeting, because it really would be great if we had a resolution from you. And I don't know I don't know how and when the BPAC can pass a resolution. It would be really good to have a resolution of support for Grove Connect from the BPAC, and maybe some specific suggestions about how we could make it successful that we have not thought of, or but certainly a resolution of support, and I will stop there.
You're welcome, Hank. And as I mentioned before, unfortunately, we can't do any resolutions of support right now because it's a workshop. Just letting anybody who may have come into the meeting after we started be aware of that. All right. So does anyone have any questions for Hank and Lottie?
Well, I'm not a BPAC member, but this is Tiffany from FDOT.
Well, Tiffany, anybody is allowed to talk and so forth. Not a problem.
Absolutely. Well, I just want to say good work here, and I'm happy to see, and I hope, Hank, you're happy to see after participating in the workshop on Monday that the two efforts align quite a bit. They're calling for similar improvements for bike infrastructure. So hopefully, I mean, the more things we can get, to align, the more it just screams that this is a priority. So good work on your behalf. And of course, I think just the more public feedback, the more neighborhood support you're showing for something like this. Because I know, especially because I walked this corridor. I tried I tried to get from the Commodore Trail up back to US 1, and I had to walk because I was walking at the time. So I had to walk in the street for a while, and before I got back on a sidewalk, and I see the challenges that you're faced with. Beautiful trees that are most likely old, very, very old, and I would say probably private property. And so the concern there, I think, and I again, it's not an FDOT roadway, so I can't say for certain, but I would say the concern there would be the residents that live in those properties that would be impacted. But if you can show that those residents are in support of such an effort, then that can, of course, I think that can help the city as it's trying to pursue such an effort.
Thank you. Thanks, Tiffany.
Yeah, no problem.
Good afternoon.
Eric, go ahead. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Wait. Hold on 1 second, Eric. Go ahead, Hank.
Sorry, I left out something really important. Something that there are two big things that we're waiting for. that will be very, very important to what we're doing with Grove Connect. One is whatever happens with the Better Bus Project, because right now the bus circulation in Coconut Grove is definitely not optimal, and the Better Bus Project, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, has a plan to improve that significantly. So I don't know what's happening with the Better Bus Project, but we are hopeful that that's going to round out the public transit part of what we need to see happen to help people have alternatives to their private automobiles. The other is the bicycle master plan, and I would really urge the BPAC to put a lot of pressure on the city of Miami to move quickly with the bicycle master plan revision. Eric and I were both very involved with the first bicycle master plan for the city of Miami, which was adopted in 2009. And it is much too long since that plan has been revised. And Colin Worth told me that there's a revision in process, but it cannot happen soon enough. Okay, that's all I'll say. Thank you.
All right, Eric, so you had a couple points.
Yes, on page 15 and 16, I congratulate your group for taking pedestrian concerns to heart and recommending a robust sort of sidewalk improvements. On page 17, Ingram Highway has got to be one of the most unsafe roads for cyclists and pedestrians in all Miami-Dade County. It's got very heavy vegetation and absolutely no shoulders, not even unpaved. So there should be signs on it warning you not to go along it because it's terrifying. Sidewalk dining at Main and McFarland makes it virtually impossible for a pedestrian to get through there and impossible for a cyclist. There was a plan for a cycle track along there. I hope that can be brought back up. One of the problems is that the Commodore Trail is shown as a continuous path on the county bike maps. This is page 17 and 18. But there are gaps. And so please communicate to Kevin Wolford where all the gaps are so that we can get the county maps correct. And so we won't be telling people that there's a path there when there's no path. And finally, on 32nd Road to Stallone Gate, that would be an excellent location for a bicycle boulevard because there's hardly any traffic down there and you can ride along it easily as a cyclist. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else have any comments or questions?
Good afternoon.
Oh, who was that?
I want to, I can give you a Better Bus quick update if you want it.
Who's that?
Sure.
It's Francisco Arbeláez.
All right, so
yeah.
Francis, I was trying to find out if Frank's iPhone was you, so I was contacting
Yes.
you. I guess you didn't see me. All right,
I know I did reply, yeah.
Okay.
So,
All right,
really quickly on the Better Bus Project, it's being implemented this year. You know, they're later this year, probably in April or May, it's going to be going back to the BCC, the commission, for approval of, you know, the final plan, which is, you know, it's going to cost. There's certain things that have to happen as far as which buses are going to be used where and how much it's all going to cost and whether or not there's going to be whether it's going to cost more or not. And that should be, like I said, April or May, and it should be implemented by the end of 2021.
Great.
So Better Bus Project is coming.
Great.
Good afternoon. This is Janet. Can you hear me?
yes, we can.
I have a question for Hank. or Lottie, either one, in reference to this effort of the Coconut Grove Mobility Action Plan. This is going to be like the foundation of the Commodore Trail master plan by the city, or how is it going to work with the master plan?
The master plan will help to make this a reality. This doesn't really present specific concepts for the master plan. The Commodore Trail is integral to this whole plan succeeding. That is building, completing, and improving and making the Commodore Trail much safer than it is right now. But the master plan is going to be a separate project. And just an update on that, because we're having meetings now with the City of Miami Office of Capital Improvements. They are taking the lead on developing an RFQ for the master plan. It will go out to bid, we hope, pretty soon. So Yannick, to answer your question, this doesn't have, we would hope that the people developing the master plan will look at this and see how important the Commodore Trail is to our vision for improving mobility in Coconut Grove. That we anticipate that the Commodore Trail can become a very important transportation and mobility corridor, much more so than it is, and much safer and more convenient than it is right now. But we're not trying to do the master plan. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thanks.
I think I have something to add as well. You know, one of the purposes of Grove Connect is to help improve the processes when we're trying to get things implemented. So having a team of motivated people who want to champion some of these action items will really make sure that the right people are speaking to each other. So you can see that there's overlap between the Commodore Trail and the Bike Master Plan, and people generally seeing gaps in sidewalks and bike routes. And it's making sure that everybody, from the stakeholders who are there on the ground, the people who are implementing the project, everybody knows what's going on. So I think it's kind of an organic communication tool that people will really be helping making the processes smooth and streamlined and efficient.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay.
Yes, this is Brett. I just want to take this opportunity to thank Hank and Lottie for championing this important project for our community. I know it's in good hands, in yours. And I'll share with you a quick personal story. When I was in elementary school, I used to ride my bike to school along this route. And there was a big old Cadillac pulling out of City Hall on Pan American Drive. And they were going to take a right when they dead-ended into Bayshore. And I was going from the right to the left. And they didn't look to the right 1 second when they pulled out and ran into me. And so I wish you the best in your efforts. And I know that you will succeed in that regard.
I hope you're okay, Brett.
Well, I've never been the same, a little loopy ever since then. But other than that.
Well, you weren't, I'm sure you were not the only one who had that experience. Yeah, it can be very dangerous.
Indeed. So thank you for all you do.
Thanks.
Thanks, Brett.
And Lottie, I have to take this opportunity. Correct me if I'm wrong. I heard that you were the originator of the Miami Loop term.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think so.
No, it wasn't you?
No.
You should trademark it while you have the chance.
Yeah,
Sounds like a good idea.
And I'm talking about the original loop, which was Underline, Ludlam, and Miami River Greenway. Now, I'm all for the inclusive approach of letting everybody else that's not really geographically part of the loop into the loop, because we don't want to exclude, we want to include. But for some reason, I thought you were the originator of it. Maybe I'm wrong.
I'm not, but I would love to take ownership for that.
Okay, okay. That's all I have, Mr. Walford. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, thank you very much, Brett. And thank you, Lottie and Hank, for bringing this forward. I know Hank had come to me with this, I think, December, saying he wants to have this come before the BPAC. And hopefully that at the time when it would come by, that we'd be able to do a resolution. But as you can see, we're not able to, but we can still see the fruits of his and others' very important efforts. Once again, thank you, Hank. And like I said, you're no longer the BPAC, but I'm sure you'll be doing a lot in other ways. Thank you very much.
You have not seen the last of me. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. I think Lottie and I will be leaving you now. Thanks again so much.
Yeah, thank you. And if you want to get involved some more, anybody who's here at the workshop, please come and reach out, and we'll be enthusiastic to have you on board. Thanks.
Thank you.
If anybody wants to reach out to them, just send me an email, and I will forward the. Actually, no, I'll just send out their Hank's and Lottie's contact information.
That would be good.
Mhm.
That would be good. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
We're leaving now. Bye.
All right. Next item, Tiffany at the Golden Gate Bridge. You're up.
Oh yeah, I forget that I just use one of the ones that's like a basic.
No problem.
I always forget what's behind me. Okay, and hello everyone. Everyone here pretty much knows me, but just in case I'm not seeing the full list of participants. My name is Tiffany Gerke. I'm the Bike and Pedestrian Coordinator for FDOT District 6, which consists of Monroe County and Miami-Dade County. And I'm here to discuss some of the projects that we reviewed since our previous meeting regarding anything that comes through FDOT review process. And that includes, just in case, that includes anything that's being resurfaced on a state roadway, that includes any improvements pretty much on a state roadway with regards to operations or signals or anything. And then also our LAP projects and our TA funding and safe routes to school. Now this map needs to be updated, so sorry about that. Network plan itself, so I haven't had them been updating this map. So we can just go to the next slide. So these should be updated though soon. I'll have these updated by the next presentation. Okay, we can go to the next slide. So what we're going to be talking about are the plans that I've reviewed, and what I'm trying to do again, and I emphasized this in the last meeting, maybe the meeting before, is I'm trying to look ahead to give more opportunities for people to make comments that I can actually input that are within our window, because you can see the comment due date there. So some of these unfortunately are past that due date, but and I know I have received a comment from Eric about the SMART plan. Now, I just want to let you guys know that the SMART plan Beach Corridor, that Lenox Ave, is more of a very, very basic concept. That's really, I guess, because I made a comment that they said, oh, that's too specific. That's not something we're looking at right now. We're just in really a conceptual phase to see the impact on the trees. So take that image very, that's kind of the planned, I guess that's the planned location, and that would be the impact on the trees at that location. But as far as the detail work, that's going to be refined in future reviews. Otherwise, we have a resurfacing project on 8th Street, and it's 3 segments of 8th Street. So you'll see that. Now, unfortunately, with the restrictions there, and it's a basic resurfacing project, pretty much putting down exactly what was there, except some ADA improvements, signalization as far as push buttons, crosswalk enhancements. See what else? So that's a lot of what's there, and of course you can look through these. If one of these piques your interest, let me know. We can go to the next slide. The ones again highlighted in orange are the ones that are going to include the most bike ped enhancements. But the other projects such as bridge repair, triple R projects, you can see the type of enhancements being made in those projects. And that includes, again, a lot of the pedestrian signals, as far as the push button enhancements, the crosswalk improvements with the high emphasis crosswalks, and of course the ADA ramps are brought up to standard. But the ones specifically, and we can go to the next slide because I'm going to be discussing the ones highlighted in orange in a future slide. And then you can see here the Okeechobee, and that's a landscaping project. So this one, I've already showcased in a previous presentation, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Okeechobee project I did. And so this is a supplement to that, and it's the landscaping that will accompany that project. So we can go to the next slide. So here are the ones, and I try to fill out the table a little better than I have in the past, so you can kind of see what we're working with the AADT, which is that traffic volume on a daily basis. You can see kind of the range of that. So you're really, really grateful at that point when you look at that underline that we are definitely putting that separately and not on US 1. And that has always been designed separately, considering that it has 83,500 AEDT. But the transit, though, that first one, again, that's a very conceptual, it's in PD&E right now. So when I go over that, just take that as a very concept, very, very early phase. The safety improvement on Northeast 6th Avenue from south of Northeast 147th Street to north of Northeast 154th Street, that's at 100% plan, so that's pretty much complete. And let me actually, so as I go over that, know that project is nearing completion and almost ready for construction. We have a little bit of time left on the LAP project, given that it's 90%, but that one's nearing completion. And again, the underline, although we are regularly coordinating, I am regularly coordinating with DTPW and the Friends of the Underline. Even as it approaches 90%, there are still tweaks being made. So know that there is still opportunity to make some slight modifications. But we can go to the next slide. You'll be able to see some of the images. Okay, so again, this is the SMART plan. This is a very conceptual, and again, very early stage, because what I originally said, she said, kind of came right back at me, no, we're not going to look at that detailed right now. But my initial thought was, we have to make sure that the transit stops and where those people are getting on and off the buses, with that aligns with the entrances and exits of that rail in the center of the roadway. So that way you don't have people jaywalking in the roadway. You want to make sure that aligns in a convenient location for people to use the crosswalks that are available. Okay, we can go to the next slide. And you can see, of course, the impact on the trees there, but yeah, that's fine. And then here's the Northeast 6th from south of Northeast 147th and the reason I include this is there's a lot of school improvements here. And I really, and I mean, I love to see pedestrian hybrid beacons. The more we get these type of treatments integrated into Miami-Dade County, the more people will get it used to it. And it's very, very, the difference, what I like about the pedestrian hybrid beacons is they are very, they're above your head. So it's similar to, in that regard, it's similar to a full signal. However, it can be, it has a little bit more flexibility when it's instant on demand kind of, I get there, I'm a pedestrian, I push the button, it instantly can go off, similar to an RFB in that manner, but it has, but it is much more above your head, much more visible as far as it's red. It's yellow, red. And so I think that as far as visibility goes, it's an excellent option, and I like to see it accompanied by this kind of school area, because it is in a school zone. But feel free to take a look at those plans, and also, of course, it's always good when we're seeing a mid-block crossing brought about, when it helps accomplish that across the road movement when we have our intersections so few and far between. Okay, go to the next slide, please. And then of course, safe routes to school. And these are the locations of the safe routes to school. If you want to understand, I can give you basic on I wasn't going to include all of the conceptual or all of the plans in there. However, the plans, what they do with safe routes to school, it's typically providing crosswalk linkage, or sorry, it's sidewalk linkages. So filling in sidewalk gaps and making sure that the ramps are ADA compliant, making sure there's crosswalk markings. That's pretty much, oh, and of course signage when there's crossing. And as you get closer to the schools, that's where you have the school zone signs and the flashing beacons that say, or the flashing overheads that say school zone. So that's what these typically include. It's pretty consistent from safe routes plan sets to safe route plan sets. Now, if there is ever, I'm going to tell you, if there's ever one that's kind of an outlier and proposing something different, I'll make sure to include some more details. But in this one, it's your traditional safe route with the sidewalks and filling in those sidewalks and providing the enhancements to the crosswalks and the ADA curb ramps. All right, we can go to the next slide. And then of course the underline, and I wanted to make sure to include, now of course you can, this is not the extent of it. I just include 2 segments so you can kind of see how it varies, because we all know that there are pinch points along that stretch of the underline from 13th, Southwest 13th to Southwest 19th. There's a couple of different pinch points. One pinch point that is restricted because of First Avenue and the Metro Rail and that wall that's provided by Metro Rail. It really limits the space we have that they have to work with, but they are trying to maximize the benefits still received and trying to improve that segment as well. And then of course there's another pinch point that's right past the Vizcaya station that is unfortunately they are not able to get around, but I like to see what's happening here. Now, with regard to, I noticed that Eric made comments about the crosswalks at 19 and wanting those to be raised. I believe that had been in conversation. Now, well, fortunately, I guess, fortunately and unfortunately, because FDOT, when we did our resurfacing project along US 1, trying to lower the cost of the DTPW's project and trying to, I guess, work together and better, you know, if we're already out there and working on the intersections, let's see if we can provide some of the improvements that are necessary and ready for the underline. So when we were out there, so when they were out there doing the resurfacing of US 1, they actually included the green elephant markings and the white crosswalks with the necessary width that's required and designed for the underline. So if you go out there today, and I encourage everyone to, if you haven't, if you go out there from at the empath currently, and you'll actually see the green elephant markings, which are it's the green crosswalk, I guess, but it's the elephant markings for the cycle track, and you'll see the white behind it for the pedestrian crossing. But feel free, if you have any questions about it, you can ask me, but I want to emphasize, this is a DTPW project. Irene Hegedus is the PM for this. And of course, she works hand in hand with Meg Daly and the Friends of the Underline, but I've been trying to help as much as I can and streamline the communication between the FDOT project managers that are working on resurfacing projects down the line, down the corridor, and also trying to just provide any recommendations as I see them. Okay, we can go to the next slide. And I think that
is there any way I could ask a quick question on that last slide, please?
Yeah, we can. I mean, it's very informal.
Thank you. Thank you. So I think I see the existing empath in gray.
Actually, so the gray is, this gray line right here is, so the existing empath is the hashed line. Do you see the hashed?
Okay, yes.
Yeah, that hashed line is the existing empath. The dark gray is actually the proposed pedestrian path, because there's going to be 2 paths wherever they can, the pedestrian path and then the cycle path. So they're going to be two separate, so they don't have the conflict.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And so the pedestrian path, which more or less follows the path of the existing M path,
Mhm.
but it looks a little bit wider, for example.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that's going to be, I would assume, correct me if I'm wrong, that's going to be an entirely new surface. They're not going to.
Absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely brand new.
Good. Okay.
And
That's good.
yeah, and hope, because if you go out there right now, you'll notice that it's messed up with a lot of times with the cracking and the roots, and yeah, and they're going to be dealing a lot with the landscaping around it, and I think they're going to be doing some like remediation. So there's going to be a drastic change.
Good.
All right, Tiffany, before you address the next question, I just want to make known that BPAC member Weber Charles joined the meeting about 5 minutes ago. He was having some connection issues, so I just want to welcome him to the BPAC. We had a welcome slide all set up for you at the beginning of the meeting, so just want to make sure that we're acknowledging that you're here.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All righty, go ahead, Tiffany.
Yeah, we can go to the
Thank you
next slide.
so much. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, I wanted to bring everybody up to date up to speed on the bike network plan efforts. We hosted the final workshop with municipal partners on Monday, this past Monday, so yesterday, and it went very well. However, there's still many municipal partners that we have yet to successfully engage with. Unfortunately, for some reason or another, they were unable to participate in the workshop. So we are going to be in the upcoming weeks, we are going to be trying to engage those that did not participate in the workshops. Because again, in order for this effort to be successful, we need to have everyone's, buy-in, but we need to make sure everybody is on board to work towards fulfilling a network in Miami-Dade County. I don't think any of us want to see a gap in a community because we didn't have the support of one municipality or another. So all of us, I'm going to emphasize this over and over again, we all need to work together and make sure that we are trying to fulfill the ultimate goal of creating opportunity for another option, and that option being biking in Miami-Dade County. And I think you also see once we fulfill, that safe bike facility on a corridor, I guarantee you that the pedestrian facility will also be improved as far as its the safety benefits received. But yeah, we are working on that, and like I said, in the upcoming weeks, we're going to be trying to reach out to those municipal partners that have yet to participate. But otherwise, things are going well, and we have gotten lots of good feedback. So I will keep you guys all up to speed, and and I will continue to keep you informed about the progress and what we're thinking about bringing this as we make it more publicly available.
All right, thank you very much, Tiffany. And I believe I saw Eric had on the chat, he had some questions. Or did you already ask them, Eric?
Hello.
Go ahead, Eric. You're up.
Yes, Eric Tolberg, BPAC member. I sent you an email and you replied, thank you. I did point out that I didn't get to see the plans until they were at the 90% level. And I got them from Mark Heineke, and I passed you what I replied to him on the 45% plans. The 45% plans were the plazas at 17th Street, Vizcaya, and Simpson Park. They all had water fountains, which is great. That's 4 water fountains in the first 2.5 miles of the underline. But one of the problems is they did not put bike racks or something to stand the bikes against when you go get a drink. You know, the mechanics are, if you're going to get a drink, it's not really practical to do it while you're on your bike. So you need something to lean the bike against when you get a drink. And one of the water fountains was in a really confined area that you couldn't get a bunch of cyclists to gather around it. So that was my comments on that part of the section. And that's it, except I would like to participate in the bicycle network. I've got a lot of things to propose.
Well, Eric, we can always schedule with you separately. I can always schedule a separate time to discuss it and what your thoughts are.
Okay, I'm going to be pretty busy. I've got to get my PE exam done before the end of February.
Okay.
But after that, in March, I'll be open to sending you more than you can handle.
All right. I'll make sure to coordinate with you in March as your time frees up.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Similarly to Eric, I spend a lot of time on my bike, both casually and as a cyclist. And so I would love to be involved in the cyclist network initiative that you're talking about.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time out on the road, and so I think I can provide some insight on the plans around biking around the city.
And what I would, Kevin,
Yes.
I sent that presentation that I provided for the TPO. I can send you that again, the one that's similar format as the workshops, but it includes all of Miami-Dade County. The one I gave to Eileen and the planning office.
Oh, for the coordinating meeting?
Yeah, when we coordinated, yeah, and I provided the TPO version of the presentation of the workshop presentation. I'll send you that again if you could forward that to the BPAC members.
Yes, we'll do that.
That includes everything that they would need to be able to make comments on the existing network, and also to see the proposed network connections.
Great idea.
Thank you.
What you're referring to is the bike lane connections?
So
the proposed bike lane connections?
These are, the proposed, well, it might be, okay. So the bike network plan is dependent on both the existing trail network and the planned trail network. And of course, hopefully, and the necessary improvements that are involved in those, such as the underline and the Ludlam Trail. But so it incorporates the trail network as well as standalone bike infrastructure on our roadways. So it incorporates both, but in the proposed, you can click on it and you can see what's kind of being proposed on road or trail.
Got it. Sweet.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments for Tiffany? All right, then thank you very much, Tiffany, for the update. And like I said, when you send me the link to the Bike Network presentation, I'll forward that to the BPAC members.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, so our next workshop is going to be scheduled for March 9th, 2021. We'll see what items could be on that agenda right now. So we'll see as it comes closer. If not, thank you everyone for participating, both the BPAC members and the members of the general public, and along with the presenters.
Kevin, I have a quick question before we adjourn, please.
Who was that? Oh, go ahead, Brett.
Thank you. So we're in a very difficult time, and we're trying to balance the safety of meeting safely and continuing our good work. And it's tricky and it's difficult. And before, we were allowed to do a virtual meeting where quorum could be virtual and votes were taken and rezos were passed. At this juncture, we were not allowed to do that. So we are allowed to do what we're doing, where you had very clear rules for today's workshop, which was no rezos. Because of my professional role as the managing director of the Miami River Commission, I have been in communication with the ethics board as I strive to strike that difficult balance for the Miami River Commission. And one thing that was interesting that Director Arrojo mentioned to me was not only did we need to be leery not to pass any rezos today, for example, which we did a good job at, but in addition, he warned about not kind of saying, well, in the future, we're gonna vote on this item. Because if we do that, then we're kind of opening the door for whether or not what we said during the workshop was a violation of the Sunshine Law or not. And I'm a big believer in the Sunshine Law, and I'm a believer in the BPAC as a whole. And the if someone were to challenge us in the future and say that we violated the Sunshine Law, then not only would it be bad for the board as a whole, but it'd be bad for all the members individually, because it is actually a crime. So one thought that came to mind is, if in the future, if we're inviting presenters, I think they need to be made aware that we can take you up now, we won't be able to pass a reso. And if we do that, we probably shouldn't take you up in the future. Because that would then, create this thing where, the first time we took it up, were we in violation of the Sunshine Law or not? Mm-hmm. So the only way to really stay clear of that is to just give them the option. You can come now and know that there's no rezos, and know that we won't be able to have you back in the future. Another option would be, the concept of having the in-person quorum. Over quorum can be virtual. People have different thresholds of comfort level. I wear my low threshold with a badge of honor. So I would be more than willing and able to participate in as many virtual things as needed. But until I get vaccinated, I won't feel comfortable enough to go in person. If other people feel comfortable going in person, and by the way, I heard a rumor that the county now has these mobile plexiglass clear partitions that they, in theory, could set up in our usual conference room, where kind of like the dais at County Hall or the dais at City Hall. So, if we want to meet in person before everyone gets vaccinated, I think it would be wise to get that set up for those that go in person. And then if you were determined you can get in-person quorum, and then people like me that are scaredy cats that'll be happy to join virtually, then in theory, under that scenario, we could take up rezos. Because we're advisory, I think that it's nice to pass rezos, but it's not necessary. But that certainly is another option for our consideration. So I just wanted to throw those things out there for Mr. Walford and the board to consider and get your feedback and go from there.
I have a question.
Yes. Go ahead.
On the same topic, I was wondering if there was a plan to continue this way, or do the changes that Brett was talking about, because it does seem to be how other committees might be handling. And the other question would be, what are those committees that they're handling?
Francisco, unfortunately, you're breaking up just as you were trying to get your points across. If you can try one more time.
What are the committees doing? And if there was a plan to do what Brett was suggesting.
Now, all of the TPO advisory board committees are doing the same thing, which because they're advisory committees. So they're all meeting as workshops, all congregating as workshops for the time being. Once the Governor DeSantis' executive order on virtual meetings it did not get renewed back, I think it was November, October, any meeting that was in person had to be an official meeting. So that's why we've been doing what we're doing. And I mentioned at the beginning, I don't know if you were here or if Brett was here, that once we have an item come to this committee or any committee that requires an official resolution to move forward, say for example, a smart plan card or something like that, then we would actually have to have the BPAC meet as an in-person meeting. That meeting would then be held at the Student Fleet Card Center or the TPO offices, and of course then you have to do all the logistics and so forth. But it would have to be done in person, and then we have to make sure all the various safety precautions are taken, and then then the next stage, of course, would be how many members would participate based upon their comfort level, because you're not able to have somebody participate half and half. You know, it's either meaning you can't have, say, 3 people on virtual and 3 people in person. You know, I've participated in other committees, not this, but for, you know, like their Development Impact Committee or the TPC, that they actually meet in person, right? And everybody has to be in the room at the same time. There's no just like it was in the pre-COVID days, and there's no accommodation for having somebody do it virtually. Now, as regards to not promising somebody a future visit, understood. Although I think it may be unlikely, because we've had people come back twice, but it usually was because they had to come back because there was that many changes which needs to be happening before the next stage. So for example, last year we had the U.S. bicycle route. They came back again a couple months later, things like that. Or when we had the smart plans, they would come to you first with the maybe a preliminary round, then come back again with a later round. So those are the instances where we on the resolutions that the BPAC has done in the past that may have somebody come back twice, but those are very unlikely. But yes, we would not promise anybody anything of any future thing. So I'll say, oh, come back in 3 months and then we'll do that. No, we're not going to do that.
Right. So I think for starters, as we move forward, I think people need to understand that we're not going to give them a chance to come back if they want to be taken up now, because it seemed like Eric would have kind of wanted that.
Eric,
I'm sorry, not Eric, Hank.
Yes.
Hank.
No, he wanted it, but I told him the first time when we spoke back in December, and again too, and when he was done, I just reiterated what it was, and when he was talking, I listened to it as he was saying, it was more of a pity that it couldn't happen, as opposed to, you know, please disobey the rules and give me a resolution. So
no, I agree with that, but it seemed like he was still interested in coming back when we could give him a reso. And I don't think that would be safe for us to do.
No.
For his or any other proposal.
Correct.
So long as they're informed clearly in advance, we're happy to take you up now, but we won't be able to give you a reso, and you can't come back in the future when that day comes. Secondly, in terms of splitting the meeting, I think we can split it to an extent. What is quorum currently? How many people are quorum?
For it's a third of the existing membership.
So right now,
the BPAC has, with new member Weber joining, Today, we have 7 members, so a third would be 3, because two is not a third, so you'd have to have 3 BPAC members for quorum.
So my understanding is that we would have to have the 3 physically in the room, and the other 4 could participate virtually.
Well, I'm not to my not from what I've been told from
Yeah.
the way it is. What I've been told is that it's either all in or all out. So, and then that's
Not only was that from Director Arojo, but it was also from the particular county attorney assigned to our BPAC committee. I'm forgetting the gentleman's name. I traded emails and had a phone call with him. And so now I understand if logistically you don't want to provide that and you want to go 100% in one direction or 100% in the other direction. To be honest, that's what I just did with the River Commission. And it was 100% in person, outdoors, on the back porch of Curtis Park, which in hindsight did not work out well because it was windy. And hearing people with social distancing was difficult. But in that circumstance, I said, oh, I wasn't going to provide a Zoom link for everybody that was in person. You only had one option. You come in person or you're not a part of it. Right. But by the law, you could do both at the same time. And by law, what would be required is that you would have 3 board members in the room. And maybe you could find 3 board members that feel comfortable enough with the glass partitions, et cetera. I'll tell you right now, you can't count me as one of the 3, but you could count me as participating virtually as one of the 4. So it'd be 4 virtual and 3 in person. And then we could take a vote. In terms of our rules for attendance, do we count workshops as meetings?
No, the workshop, I'm going to respond to you first to the previous thing you said first. I understand what you're saying about the partial in person and some people not in person, but like I said, our directive from within the TPO was being that all meetings will be held virtual until there is need for one to become an in-person, and that's when they will be done in person. So the hybrid and so forth, that is still under exploration, but it's nothing that we or myself or any of the other committees can look at. The answer to your second question is we're taking attendance as for all the meetings for both BPAC members and for the general public. So we have an idea of how many people are attending the meetings, both, but we're not having the attendance by a member go against or towards their attendance requirements. So on the attendance report that's sent to the TPO board members for each of their meetings, where it shows who was absent, who was present, there is a note on there saying that the attendance at virtual meetings is not going towards attendance requirements. So therefore, if you have not met, say you did not attend the March, I know March hasn't been here yet, but you did not attend January, February, or March's BPAC meeting, it's not listed as you missing 3 meetings. It's because, they're not counting it against you.
So today's attendance doesn't count against us, but it doesn't count for us either.
Correct. It's just a record keeping.
Right. So I think then how do we address that moving forward without amending the bylaws?
Well, we can't amend the bylaws until we have an official meeting. And the bylaws, as you know, they're done every 2 years. So this would have been the year in which we did that. But right now we don't have a chair because we have a vice chair, but we don't have a chair. And so we need to have elections and bylaws and so forth. But those in itself are not reasons to have an official meeting. Once an official meeting is determined and created, then in addition to that item that gets a resolution, that's when we'll do the elections and the bylaws at that time.
Right, because I mean, if we don't tweak them to address the reality, I don't know how anyone can meet the current requirement. So then the last thing I would say is, I would hope that when that day does come, that the administration of the TPO does provide the opportunity to have the in-person quorum as required by law, but allowing the other folks that want to participate but don't feel comfortable doing it in person to do so virtually, which is also by law allowable. It's difficult logistically to provide, but if they could provide that option, I think it would increase your attendance and participation, which I know is a goal of the TPO.
Mhm.
Okay, I think that covered that, unless anyone else had any other thoughts. I mean, just out of curiosity, since we're all here, if they put up the glass partitions, would other board members, would 3 board members feel comfortable going?
So I think I would feel comfortable. However, my division inside of DTPW is still remote. So I don't go anywhere currently. So it would be logistically very difficult for me to get there, considering that, you know, I was literally in 2 meetings while the beginning of this meeting was happening.
Right.
Yeah, so the remote world has actually made you everybody be multitasking. So that it's actually become more work being put on you because you're doing multiple
Yes,
meetings at the same time. I do the same thing myself.
Yes, yeah, double meetings are like a thing now that you, before you could get out of one, now you have to do both.
Yep.
No, you can't do both. But I'll let you handle your own scheduling. So I understand why you would not be willing. I already said a couple times I would not be willing because I'm scared, at least until I get my vaccination. Any other board members inclined to go if needed?
Eric Tolberg here. I think I would show up, but I think the idea of having a 2-part meeting, Zoom and in person, is a nightmare, and I'll be happy to do it virtually. We have to get the governor to sign on so that we can have virtual meetings that mean something. And then when we're all vaccinated, we can meet in person again. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate your willingness to go. And I think I just saw a comment pop up on my screen that our new board member, Mr. Charles Weber, is also willing to go in person. Now, Eric, just to clarify, the governor doesn't need to take any action to do what we're talking about right now. We're allowed to do this right now. So that's 2 members. Is there a 3rd member that's willing to go in person? Because that's the magic number of 3, which is quorum. So I know we don't have all of our members on the line. For the members that you do have on the line, what members are absent today?
Members Fleming and Fisher, but just like I mentioned, even though you're taking a little roster, it's not so much that you all can vote to say, okay, we're going to try this, because that's not going to.
No, I know,
Oh,
I know. But I'm just seeing from a straw vote perspective, if we can't get 3 people that are willing to go in person, then the conversation's over because we don't have 3 people in person.
Right, well,
There's
so
no decision to make about a hybrid meeting
Right.
if we can't find 3 willing members.
And the fifth,
So-
the
so
fifth
if you
member,
don't-
the fifth, 1 second, Brett. The 5th member here today is Sabella's Moda. So Sabella's, if you can just unmute yourself for a second and let us know your thought. Or type it in the screen.
So while she's doing that, is Colin no longer a member?
No, remember back after the elections in November, we lost 3 of our members. We lost Colin, we lost Sabine, and we lost Hank.
Okay. So that means that pending Sabine's answer, which I think we might be about to get. Well, I'll just put
No,
Sabine on the list.
Not Sabine, Sabella's.
Sabella. If you would need either Sabella, Fisher, or Fleming to get to 3. Because Eric would be 1,
Mhm.
Charles Weber would be 2. I'm a no.
And this
Okay,
is
you
Weber,
would need-
it's Weber Charles, not Charles Weber. just so you
I'm
know.
sorry.
Mhm.
Thank you. You would need one of those three to get to your magic number of 3 quorum in person.
Yeah.
And if in theory you get to 3, then it's something to consider. If you don't get to 3, then we're stuck doing what we're doing, which is workshops only, no votes. Okay.
Okay.
Anything else on that from anyone?
Yes, I think the whole idea of a combined workshop is crazy. I'm willing to come in person, but that would be to come in person for everybody. So either I would be happy to come, but what we need to do is to get the governor to renew his exemption so that we can take votes on a virtual meeting.
So there was a article in the Miami Herald where Ronald Book, an excellent long-term lobbyist, was quoted that he suggested that to the honorable governor, and the honorable governor said no thank you with enthusiasm. So I don't think anyone is expecting the governor to reissue his executive order. So that's just not in the cards. So that means what our options are is that if you do meet it in person, then some board members, such as myself, are not going to participate.
And RER has been doing dual, or whatever you want to call this format, where there is a room with a certain amount of people, kind of operating business, and then there's participants via Zoom. So the format is, the county has, is doing it. So
Yep,
it's not,
and the county commission is doing it as well. I noticed that one of the older county commissioners, Soto, was participating virtually.
All righty. All right, so thank you very much. Thank you very much for bringing that topic up, Brett.
Sure.
It's let's go back to the screen. It says the next workshop will be March 9th, 2021. And you'll see any information on that will come up. It will be coming up in the future. So until then, everyone, have a good night and have a wonderful President's Day weekend. Current time right now is 6:57 p.m. and good night, everyone.
Good night.